topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Connected Table Live. We're your hosts, Melanie Young and David Ransom, your insatiably curious culinary couple. We're broadcasting live from our home in New Orleans, Louisiana today. We love traveling the world, introducing you to the people we meet and the places we visit, but we really also love enticing you to come visit our chosen city, which is New Orleans, Louisiana. And we are going to take you to a beloved restaurant and nonprofit here in New Orleans that is really unlike, there are very few places like this in the United States. And we encourage everybody to come and support and visit. I'll set it up this way. Named among the top 25 restaurants in New Orleans by the New York Times in 2026, Café Reconcile, you can see the facade in the back, serves more than a menu of, let's say, soulful dishes. We've been there many times for lunch, many times. You get amazing jerk chicken and fried chicken, sausage and okra gumbo, Louisiana catfish po' boy. I had the fried green tomato sandwich on toast recently, savory sides and specials like panéed pork with rice and gravy on Wednesdays, and Louisiana shrimp with white beans on Thursday. It is so popular as a lunch spot on Aretha Casa Haley Boulevard, just down from the Southern Food and Beverage Museum. But it's more than a place to get soulful food. It is a nonprofit founded in 1996 by Reverend Harry Tompson that transforms the lives of at-risk young people ages 16 to 24 through workforce development and job training, giving them the skills to pursue future careers. So your lunch will be served by a student. So be patient. They're learning and going, and we support them, and an amazing staff, among whom includes Chief Culinary Officer and Executive Chef Martha Wiggins, who is a respected chef and mentor who now oversees the kitchen and programming at Café Reconcile. And she joins us today on the Connected Table Live. I'm really excited because Martha, in 2026, Chef Martha was a recipient of the La Dame d'Escoffier Leading from the Heart Awards here in New Orleans, which offers grants to women who are doing amazing things to improve the culinary community in New Orleans. So we're really happy to have Chef Martha Wiggins on the Connected Table Live. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's great. And every time we go to Café Reconcile, which we've been doing for years, it's always such a wonderful experience. And what we love about it is there are people who are regulars there. I mean, remember that woman we met who said she goes there like 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Yes, we have very loyal regulars, and we're really, really fortunate, as seasonal business kind of ebbs and flows, having regulars in the community is really great. It's really great to, and we do not take that for granted. We really appreciate them for their continued support.
Martha, let's start with you. You grew up, I read, in Washington, D.C.
That is correct.
Where we both used to live at different times in our lives. Tell us about your childhood and early food memories.
Well, yeah, I'm from DC proper. I grew up in Adams Morgan. I kind of compare it to I'm not sure. Well, the 18th Street that I grew up on, or in that neighborhood, would maybe kind of remind you of Frenchman Street 15 years ago, or maybe more. and maybe that's not a fair comparison, but anyway, my parents are pretty bohemian. I would just call them hippies, but they would say they're bohemian. And my dad's a musician, and we lived in a very kind of bohemian neighborhood at the time. So, you know, a lot of my early food memories are of the food that we ate in the neighborhood. You know, we'd go out and we'd eat a lot of Ethiopian food or Cuban food or Mexican or Salvadorian, or Nigerian food. And so we ate a lot of food that was available in the neighborhood. And then, of course, my dad traveled all over the world. And so every time he came back from a different country, he'd usually bring an instrument from that country and a recipe or a cooking vessel or device or something. So it could be a spetzel maker or a wok or, you know, mortar and pestle or whatever it was. So he did, you know, he was very, very passionate, and you know, cooking for him was very, you know, romanticized, and he loved all those things. My mom always too, she cooked, you know, a square meal for me and my sister every day after she got home from work. So a lot of and she's also an amazing cook. So I really had kind of the best of both worlds there. My other earlier food memories are holidays, and you know, I always kind of figured out early on that if you were the one cooking, you got the best, you got to pick what you know, you got your favorite part of the turkey or the ham or whatever it was. So if you're cooking, you got a little behind the scenes stuff that before everybody else got their share. So that's what I remember.
That sounds like a fun time in the kitchen was had by all.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know, I actually spent some time in Adams Morgan when I was in school down there. Melanie, did you ever go up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. We had family members who lived in Adams Morgan. And, you know, much like New Orleans, Washington, D.C. is such an amazing culinary melting pot. You can just try so many dishes that you wouldn't necessarily have in other parts of the country. Martha, at what point did you decide you wanted to pursue a professional career in cooking?
I think I was really interested in it. I loved watching PBS, any cooking shows they had on PBS as a kid. So Jacques Pepin, Julia Child, Lydia Bastianich, I don't know if I pronounce her name right, or Ann Can Cook, or Two Fat Ladies. I loved all that stuff. And so it was really, I was always interested in cooking, or I was always interested in what's for dinner, really, as a kid. And, you know, that turned into my mom giving me a little freedom to cook a meal here and there when I was a teenager. And, you know, it's like, okay, well, if you want to make dinner before I come home from work, that'd be great. And I'll have to. Got into that, and then I got a job. You know, I really wanted to work, and I got a job at a pretty young age as a at a deli and bagel place called Pumpernickel's. And when I was 15, and I started as just a bagel runner. So my job was I get there early in the morning, and you're called. I can't say it. It's a cuss word, but I'm not going to say exactly what the title was, but. Your job was to run the bagels up and down the stairs as fast as they could make them and refill the cases as fast as they sold them, because it was one of these spots that was like just very popular, and it had a line wrapped around the place and outside. So through there, I got really, I got a lot of, you know, positive, you know, feedback and affirmations of like an ability to keep up. And it was very fast paced, and it was always like, you know, a rush. I think I got hooked on the adrenaline of, you know, are we going to make it? Are we going to make it? Like, keep going. Come on, team. Like, let's go. And then that I was able to keep up, and I could remember, you know, several people's orders at a time. So, you know, it was nice to get feedback from adults about something I was good at. And again, so all of these things, you know, the question of how or who inspired me to become a chef, it just kind of grew. You know, I didn't know that's what I wanted to do until I was doing it. And I was like, well, I'm doing this. And it took me a long time to even admit or acknowledge that I might actually be good at it, or had talent in it, versus that I was good at following directions.
Did you go to cooking school?
I did. I went to community college in New Bedford. Well, actually, the school is in Fall River, Massachusetts, called Bristol Community College, and it was an amazing program. I had an amazing instructor who really was a formative figure in my career, and kind of told me to get my shit together, and didn't take a lot of excuses from me, and which set me up for success going into this industry. But he also was like, what was one of the first people to say that you're actually pretty talented. It took years to actually believe that, but it was kind of cool.
So what was your big break?
My big break, my big break was coming to New Orleans with on a women of prayer, I guess they say, with no job and no place to live. And of all the places that I applied to, which was a lot, and no one calling me back, and no one wanting to have a follow-up interview. I mean, to be honest, I did not sell myself very well. My confidence was quite low when I moved here, because of a lot of things, but also, as a woman in a kitchen, and at my age too, there was a lot of put downs, and that it was a way that I think others could elevate themselves, was to keep you down here. If I keep you down here, then I'm always going to be up here. So I'm sure I didn't interview well, but my big break to me was that I moved to New Orleans, and I somehow ended up getting a job at Sylvain and with Alex Harrell. I got really lucky to be in such great company. And again, when I moved here, I didn't really know anyone, I had zero connections whatsoever in the hospitality industry. And there are a lot of places, again, you wouldn't know if it was a good restaurant or a bad restaurant as a tourist or as an outsider. I could have ended up anywhere. They could have sold me anything, and I would have said, sure, I'm just happy to be here. And I really was. So the idea that I ended up with somebody like Alex Harrell, who became, yet another mentor to me and like family to me, and really supported me in every way beyond just as a chef, but as family that I didn't have here. So to me, that was my big break. That was the first step in the right direction.
Well, we've been following Chef Alex Harrell and all his different endeavors, and we've not interviewed him on the show, but boy, he is really a talented guy.
Yeah, he is.
And look forward to going to his latest concept. And more importantly, it's good that you had a good mentor, because it can be, as you said, tough for a woman in the kitchen. It's tough for anyone who doesn't know anybody. And, kudos to you for landing in New Orleans and getting a job at a great restaurant.
Yeah, I mean
really, that really puts you on the map too. People started recognizing you.
I wish I had more to do with it, but I was sitting at the library using the computer, just being like, I don't know what am I going to do? and I got lucky. They had one more position to fill before they opened. They weren't even open yet.
Yeah.
And I was the last person hired on the kitchen team. And I held on to it for dear life.
Well, you got a lot of recognition, and for a brief time, then we read you went over to the Peter and Paul, also one of our favorite little places to go, the Louisiana bar. But then, who recruited you to come join Café Reconcile? And tell us about that progression and journey.
So I left. I was at Sylvain for almost 7.5 years. Again, I became executive. Or not again, but I became executive chef after Chef Alex left to open Angeline. So in total, I was there 7.5 years. And after for various reasons, involved with traditional restaurants, I was burnout, but also as being really loving and learning more about New Orleans and its people, and that a lot of my staff didn't have great quality of life in the structure that existed and in the systems that were in place. I was like, I gotta do some some work here. I can't be a part of this or have continued success in this without learning more about the barriers in place of people that I manage or employ. It just didn't sit right with me. In addition to being at one place for 7.5 years, I'm tired. And Sylvain was a beast and is a beast to run. So Gerald Duan, who was the former executive director at Café Reconcile, he was the one who found me or tracked me down through many attempts via email and phone calls. And I just saw looking for executive chef or something like that. And I was like, I don't want to be an executive chef right now. I'm trying to figure out and I did kind of blow him off the first couple of times. And then I think he finally got in touch with Lauren Darnell, my friend, and also from Minnow Foundation, and was like, can you ask Martha to call me back? So he did. She told me, and I said, all right, okay, I'll meet. And so met with him and Carrie at the time, who was the CFO, who is now our CEO. And I met with them for just a conversation that I guess, was an interview. That as I was sitting there and as we were talking, I was like, oh, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it was also in 2020 during the pandemic, while everyone's getting laid off, people in my industry, including myself, were getting laid off or getting paid, pay cuts, etc. I had luckily already made the decision to move on to the next thing, but it couldn't have come at a better time, and a time that everyone else in my field's livelihood was very questionable and worrisome.
We returned back to New Orleans around 2021 after living in New York and traveling. And, we knew we were going to make New Orleans our home. And I remember we were talking about Café Reconcile. And I think I was meeting Liz Williams for lunch. Liz Williams is the founder of the Southern Food and Beverage Museum, which is right down the street. And she's very respected in this city and in the industry, and author of many books. And she said, Chef Martha Wiggins is doing amazing things for Café Reconcile. And that was the first time I'd really heard of you, because we had come back, but I'd heard that over and over again, the praise, and kudos to Gerald Duan, who's now director at NOCI, New Orleans Culinary and Hospitality Institute, for tracking you down and staying on top. So let's take this so this is really important. Café Reconcile, you can book on Open Table. It is a restaurant open for lunch. However, as we said in the beginning, and it's really important to understand, it's not your typical restaurant. Describe it for us as someone who lives it and works it, so that the customer who may be going there can understand why it's special and why the experience is unique.
So I think what a lot of people miss, and you would, if you're going to a restaurant, you've heard the food's good, you heard it's a nonprofit, et cetera, they work with youth, is they'll think that the first floor cafe and what they see in the restaurant that's it. And I think that having where, if you look at my day or everyone's day, is that there's young people and activity and programming and training or support or counseling going on every single floor of our building, all 5 floors. While we're in service, there is some other programming of equal value and importance and training going on every floor of the building. And there are young people in different phases of the program on every floor of the building at any given time. So you only see the cafe training and you see the young people in their experience in the cafe, or you might come and sometimes there's really not a lot of young people, because in that point in this year, they're all doing soft skills workshops or social emotional learning workshops or financial literacy or career exploration, or, but every day there's young people in the building somewhere in some phase of the program, and a full team of people that are there to support them in that specific development area of development, whether it's social services or, career exploration. What are your next steps? Or, resume building, mock interviews, all these things. I think the biggest thing to understand about Reconcile is that the cafe, while, I love it, it's what I do, it's where I can contribute, is a tool really for young people to practice life skills in real time. And we take that very seriously. We want to do it really well, but it's one phase of a 4-tiered program. And of course, we know that 4 tiers for every young person is not going to be the start and finish of the support they need. It's absolutely not. So you get to see maybe coming in to have service one short moment that really means a lot to the young person in building their confidence and their skill or whatever this, or applying the skills they've learned in patience or anger management, or regulating my nervous system. I'm overstimulated or I'm anxious, whatever it may be, or some public speaking. Each interaction means a lot to that young person, and it's just one of many that they'll have in the day. So anyway, so the cafe, I think from an outsider's perspective versus ours, is you only get to see one facet in real time when you come to eat in the cafe. But understanding that everything else is going on, I think makes your experience that much more meaningful, and it makes it make more sense to what's going on right now.
As somebody who struggled learning when I was younger as well, it means a lot to have mentorship like that. How do people get involved? How do students get involved with your program? And is there a referral process that there's put through to come to you?
Or a screening process?
Yeah.
So we have a team, we have staff on that their role is just for recruitment and outreach. So we have a department there and a very successful outreach effort. But our biggest, or what continues to be our biggest, our most consistent way of recruiting people or finding new young people is word of mouth from them to a friend, a family member, etc. I came to Reconcile. You should come to Reconcile. Hey, man, what are you doing? Hey, you should come check it out. It's like every week somebody's bringing a friend or a family member. Or my brother went 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 3 years ago. And now that I'm 16, or now I'm of age, or maybe I'm not doing anything, or maybe I got into trouble, they said I should come here. So word of mouth of friends and family and youth amongst each other is really our highest rate of recruitment, or people finding out about the program.
So I'm curious, 2 things. Is the program, is there a cost to the students, or is it completely funded by sponsorship and grants?
There's no cost to them. They get paid to be here. They get paid a stipend biweekly that increases as they move through the tiers of the program, so that they're able to, or at least able to offset some of the costs of, we're asking you to be here. Once you reach, in the first tier, you only have to be here from 8 a.m. to 12. But after that, you're 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So that's it's a full day of work potentially. So we do pay them a stipend to try to offset the cost of their basic needs, understanding that our goal is to get you sustainable employment and income.
What about schooling? It's it's at-risk youth age 16 to 24. At 16, you're in high school. Are these kids that are dropped out of high school or not attending high school?
If you come to me or us and you have dropped out of high school and you don't have your GED or high set, we're going to turn you right back around to one of our partners to go get that taken care of first. So if a young person, the only young people that we have that are in high school to finish are summer youth that come, when they're on break from school. But if we have a young person who comes to us, I don't know if you're 16 or you're 23, but you don't have your high set, that's probably, depending on your needs, especially if you're high school age, the first thing I'm going to do is either try to get you back in somebody's school or connect you to one of our partners or somebody we know to see what the best outcome is for you to get your high school diploma. That's
so education and continuing and pursuing your education is essential. And then this
absolutely.
supplements
I'm
it.
not helping a 16-year-old who dropped out of high school get a job. You can get a job on your own, and that's that. One is assessing your needs, and then we do have people who come, trying to figure out what to do next. Let me connect you and get you back in another community of support. Because a lot of times I feel like for young people, like you're 16, you need to be in school you need to pass some more time, grow up a little bit, before if you're able to, before you have to go into the workforce, mm-hmm. And so that's our goal. And with any of our young people is in their intake or their interviews is assessing what are your needs, what are your boundaries, and what is priority here based on your needs or your barriers. While it'd be great to say, hey, come on, let's go, let's start, let's train, whatever. If I can see as an adult and we are in a community of adults that maybe that's not actually the best thing for you, our goal is to identify that and help support you to what really would be the most beneficial to you as a young person, based on, again, what are your immediate needs and what are your immediate barriers. That would determine where we go from there. But school, you got to finish.
Yeah, very important.
We have a partnership with Net Charter School and also YEP. So we work with young people who go there during after school or a couple days a week. Like we work that out as well.
How long is the program?
16 weeks from start to finish, but there's a little wiggle room there, a little wiggle room to me, but a lot to others of if a young person needs more time in one area of the program, particularly in their occupational skill training, the cafe training, if they need some more time because either they had something come up and they had to miss some time, or they just need more time because of, their learning style, or anything, exceptionalities they might have, or, for young people that I know that, everybody learns at a different rate and everybody learns in different ways. And some people need more time in that specific learning environment. It's a restaurant, it's a training facility, but it's a real restaurant that is really busy with real paying customers who may or may not care that you're in a training program. That's not easy for everyone to deal with, well, anyone, but especially a young person with no workforce experience who may be dealing with, any other issue. They may need some more time than 4 weeks in the cafe, or they may need more time in tier 1 while we're assessing and addressing barriers, whether it could be housing, childcare, healthcare, mental health care. If you're not able to sustain, like if you have these big barriers in the way, we're not going to start you in tier 2 training because it's going to come up again and you're going to have to stop and start again.
Well, I think it's interesting that the training, you mentioned 4 tiers. Can you explain those?
Yeah. So in the first tier, each tier is about 4 weeks. Tier 1, again, is they meet us, they're introduced to us, but it's all with that. In that part, it's just case management, again, identifying what are your barriers and what are your needs, and making sure that your basic needs are met. And that potentially, and it could be a lot of things, like I said, healthcare, childcare, transportation, housing, counseling, whatever it is. If you're, whether our only prerequisite to joining the program is that you're between the ages of 16 to 24. So you could be a completely, well-adjusted and supportive young person who just, is trying to figure out what to do next with a, full family of support and guidance. Or you could be a young person who's in crisis and they've come to us and we got to address that first. So that's tier 1. So hopefully in tier 1, we can address as much as we can. If there's still ongoing needs, a big one is like documents, like making sure that we can get our young people IDs. between, if you're living in New Orleans, between one storm or another, you either have moved or lost some important paperwork maybe, or our young people have moved or disconnected with their families and they never seen their birth certificate. They don't have it. So
wow,
without a birth certificate, think about trying to get a driver's license or a social security card as an adult, or a copy of it. It's difficult. And for an adolescent with no support, that's almost impossible. So really helping them with obtaining those documents is huge, because without them, you can't get housing assistance, food stamps, healthcare, all these things. Whether it's, the whole gamut, a lot of it, you have to have some sort of, you have to have identification. For work you do, but in the first for us is with assistance and support for them. That's a big one. And then tier 2, they come to the cafe, they do 2 weeks of kitchen training and 2 weeks of dining room training, give or take some. Again, if we need a little more for each individual, we'll do that. And then in tier 3, they move into employment exploration or school exploration. What am I going to do next? Do I need a job right away? Do I need to work? What am I interested in? And again, we are a business in hospitality, but our employment efforts are go beyond hospitality. All right, we have employment partners outside of hospitality. So our goal is to get you into a stage placement and externship placement with one of our employment partners. So you do like a few days a week of training with them, and then maybe 2 here follow up with the support team or in the cafe to practice whatever the skill is, with feedback from the employment partner to our employment team to help, that we connect. So say the young person doesn't show up or is late or, has a meltdown or whatever it is. It's like, okay, that's not a closed door. It's okay. We get that feedback from the employment partner. We address the young person with them. What's going on? What's the root of this? What did we learn from it? What went wrong and how can we learn from this so that you can have sustainable employment or school, whatever it is you want to do, you're able to get it done.
Okay. So there is job placement as well, or job placement and follow-up after the students have left the program. So here's a big question. I think it's important. This is a nonprofit. It was founded by, as we said, it's 25 years. Help me with my math. How many years has it been?
30.
30 years. I know it's a big anniversary. Right.
Well, this version of Reconcile is 25 years old last September.
Yeah. Right. And it was a big anniversary. And how do you get your funding? And how can anyone watching or listening our podcast support Café Reconcile?
Well, we get a lot of funding through grants, individual donors, some government funding, and also, I always say to people, people do a lot of fundraisers every day in the cafe. It's like a daily fundraiser. Every dollar you spend in the restaurant goes to the nonprofit. Right. So one of the easiest, I think, and most enjoyable ways to give to Reconcile is come eat,
have lunch,
and have a cocktail too if you want.
I think that's important. There is a cocktail. You can go and have wine and cocktails. It's open for lunch. Now, you were doing brunch at one point. Is brunch coming back, or is that like a special event thing?
I'm thinking about it. I have an idea that, or it was a concept I did last year, but I think I'm going to bring it back and gear it more towards the brunch, because people love brunch.
Yeah, they do in New Orleans.
But we did that a couple of years. It was really great. But I had tried another concept last year, which I feel really good about. We got to revisit. I think I can package it to kind of be more brunchy, but it's a more sustainable, I think, business or training model for our young people to really actually be a part of it. Whereas brunch was great. It was busy. It was lucrative, but it was a huge lift to staff and the interns because it was such an involved service model. They weren't really able to participate. So it was good, but it just didn't sit right after a while of like, if they're not able to be a part of this, then
Right.
why are we doing it?
Well, you do a lot of takeout. The times that we've been there for lunch, we were amazed at the takeout, and we said to someone, they need to have a little takeout shop to at some point somebody needs to buy the building next door or something, because you need to take out, because I was blown away by that.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of,
we do so much takeout, and I wish there was another takeout store and another takeout kitchen, because it's all coming out of that one kitchen with that one staff who's got at least one intern assigned to each one of the cooks or servers at any given time. And there's times too where sometimes it just becomes overwhelming, and I have to pause it. I have to say, hold on, time out. Wait times get too crazy, and people get frustrated, and nobody's happy. And I don't want that. And it's hard, from a guest perspective, if you're in a takeout window, to see everything else that's going on. You can't see that.
Exactly.
But yeah, we do a lot of takeout.
Definitely.
We definitely
donor. Somebody help Café Reconcile get another piece of real estate next door.
I don't need real estate. It's people. There's only one of me and one of my, my team of people.
So what are your most we mentioned some of the dishes at the beginning of the show. What are the ones that, are your best sellers?
Our crispy turkey necks are, people love them. They rave about them. I can't make them fast enough. Our fried catfish, I think, is one of our signature dishes. Fried catfish with crawfish sauce. Our fried chicken's really great as well. Our sides, we've been doing. So we also have, we have daily specials. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have a different special. So Tuesday is smothered chicken. Wednesday is the panéed pork loin. Thursday is white beans and shrimp, and Friday is smothered turkey necks. So we have 4 days of daily specials, which are great. People love them. They're always really accessible, affordable. And then we'll also have on the menu like a specials card, and that'll be like seasonal stuff like we've been doing. Right now we have we're going out of strawberry season, but we had a salad with Louisiana strawberries and jerk spice pecans and cane vinaigrette we did for that season. And we've been doing our black and
crab rice. You
crab rice.
Crab rice.
Now.
So good.
That's one of my favorite dishes.
Yeah.
Crawfish deviled eggs right now.
Oh, we had that a couple days ago when we were there. They were good.
And so that'll be your more seasonal or, kind of, we had fried ribs last week. We did a lot of fun stuff, but, just
generous portions
for our regulars that come all the time. Keep it interesting for them.
Sure.
Keep some fun things on the menu. And then we also, our curriculum and training manager, Chef Simone, who's an amazing pastry chef. She always will have a dessert special. We just did a blueberry galette, and now she's got a little key lime tart on the menu right now. So, and then our front of house manager, Deborah Hoffman, has been doing some really awesome cocktails. We have a Satsuma margarita and a Ponchatoula buck, which is like bourbon, strawberry, house-made strawberry syrup, lemon, and ginger beer. It's really good. So we got a lot of fun stuff.
That sounds.
So, how has this role changed you as a person and as a culinary professional, Martha?
I think that this role has been amazing for me, and kind of unlearning a lot of going to a traditional culinary school and the way that culinary arts or fine dining was taught to us in the 90s, 2000s and beyond is very, very white and European centered, of how things are supposed to be done and the correct way and the proper way to do everything. And cooking is so much more than that. And, you know, there are so many other cuisines and influences beyond just, you know, a European approach. So, and I've always known that, but I still used those. I still was from that mindset because I worked in a restaurant, you know, that was mostly white clientele. And with, you know, so that becomes a norm. It's what you learn in school. It's what you see in the magazine. If this is how these things are supposed to be. And again, I know that it's not true. I was raised knowing that it's not true, but I still applied those, you know. It's hard to unlearn these kind of normalities that are like, this is not my normal. It's not everybody's normal. So Reconcile really, like, it was difficult, you know, to adjust my palate, and also cooking a lot of these traditional dishes. I'm not from New Orleans, you know, and I understand, and I've learned how much trust is a huge part about cooking and eating for New Orleanians. Like, if who's making it, where are they from, who this, that, and that was a huge thing. And, you know, I knew I had so my goal was never to change a lot. I mean, a lot of the recipes, in fact, most of the ones that are on the menu, I inherited. You know, I changed the way that I made them in practice and in technique, or in making them from scratch. But a lot of them, my goal was not to come to Reconcile and change everything. Reconcile was not where I came to have the Chef Martha show. You know, there's ways in which I get to explore and be creative with my team and with myself. But, you know, I think the biggest thing for me, or the way it shaped me, is one, just kind of decolonizing myself and the things I learned about cooking and eating, and whose palate is more important than whose, or who I'm playing this to. And it was difficult. And again, to be able to include and learn from the people that I work with, who a lot of people that I work with, you know, hadn't had a very significant culinary background or training or this and that, but they've been cooking for years. And so to be able to listen to them and learn from them, and my entire time in New Orleans is what I've been doing, is picking people's brains. But working at Reconcile, you know, it's not lost on me that I'm teaching, you know, young Black New Orleanians how to make gumbo, you know, for the first time, some of them. That's a huge privilege, and something that if you asked me 15 years ago that I would be doing that, I'd be like, ain't no way, you know, but that's huge to me. And I think that is like the biggest privilege I've had, is maybe reconnecting a person to their own roots, not by me showing you how I make it, or this is what Chef Martha says, but let me reconnect you to your own, or let us, not even me, reconnect you to your heritage, your roots, not mine even, you know, so that you can take and reconnect those dots. Because some of the young people, I think there is a detachment, there's a break there, depending on what's going on in your life, of being displaced or being in crisis, your family, whomever. There's a disconnection for a lot of people in cooking and the recipes and histories of their own family that they may or may not know. But so if I get to, or we get to spark you know, the curiosity of, hey, you know, I heard my grandma had a restaurant, but I don't know what it's called. I don't know. Like, go find out. Okay. Because that's huge. You are New Orleans history. And making that connection, or maybe if I can spark that curiosity, or we can, that's huge. So I think, you know, and the other thing about working at Reconcile is, one is just, again, I've learned really firsthand for the past 6 years of what the challenges of people are facing in this city on a systemic level, and how to be part of a community of support. And also, I've just learned about people. I've learned about New Orleans from the people. And every year I live here, I understand a little bit more, something I didn't really have a full picture of. And that's pretty cool. And I get to meet a new group of young people every month that I can connect with. That's amazing. And then seeing them walking around and being around and, living their lives is pretty cool.
Well, Café Reconcile, and it's caféreconcile.org. I want to make sure we get that in to learn more and to support. It really is a restaurant it's a gathering place of community. And that is really the original definition of restaurant, which is to restore and to gather, is really what Café Reconcile is. And the word reconcile, I'm sure the Reverend had intention with the meaning of that, because it is to help people find harmony and acceptance, which is really what Café Reconcile is doing. It's helping young people who maybe feel that they are outcast or lost. It's giving them a sense of balance and harmony and purpose and self-confidence that life will be good and they are worthy and they have future. And it's wonderful that you're part of, it's a challenge, but it's also an important solution at a time where every city, not just New Orleans, but every city is facing these challenges. Mm-hmm. So I think that Café Reconcile is a wonderful role model for any city and community that's looking to do something to be part of a solution. And the hospitality industry is one of the greatest gateways to do this. Absolutely. So Martha, I think it's great that you also, in this transition from your amazing work at Sylvan and as executive chef, you found purpose through your passion as well here at Café Reconcile. So kudos to you, and kudos for the recognition that Café Reconcile is getting to be named among the top restaurants in New Orleans, 25 by Brad Anderson, the New York Times, with all the other, fine dining legends, is a statement. And for anyone who is listening or watching, this is a must visit when you come to New Orleans, because you do get the sense of community here at Café Reconcile.
Absolutely. Make a reservation. We're on open table.
We learned that. We always thought you had to walk in, and we were like, okay, we'll be patient. Go early. I think it's like 11 to 2, I think.
11 to last seating's at 2:15. We open at 11.
So we say go early. Anyway, congratulations on all the success. For anyone who wants to learn more, it's caféreconcile.org. Congratulations on being a 2026 recipient of La Dame de Café New Orleans, Leading from the Heart. I'm a member. I'm proud of that. We love to support women who are doing amazing things, and you are Martha Wiggins. So thank you for taking time out today to join us on the Connected Table Live.
Thank y'all so much for having me. Come check us out and learn more about our program. Thank you for spreading the word.
Absolutely. And we hope everybody listening and watching is inspired. We love this city with all of our heart. We love places like Café Reconcile that give back and serve a community of young people to give them a future. So think about it when you're planning your visit to New Orleans, and wherever you travel, try to keep an open mind, an open mouth, and an open palate, because we want you always to stay insatiably curious. Thank you.